Howdy folks, I hope you're doing well. I had hoped to have this out about 2 weeks ago, but with everything going on around here, it got delayed. Anyway, about a month ago, I was watching the Super Game Room Dudes, which is the clip that we're watching here, and they were covering the BurgerTime Quarter Arcade by Numbskull. If you haven't heard of the Super Game Room Dudes, let me tell you a little about them. P-Dubs, Michael B, Nostalgia, and Detroit Love host this Friday night chill and chat kind of a show that basically covers what's been going on in the home arcade and sometimes VR world over the past week. The Super Game Room Dudes is pretty much a Friday night staple in my house, and if you're not watching them, well, you're really missing out on some good content. A link to their channel can be found in the description below. So as I said, I was watching the boys minus P-Dubs, and they were showing off the BurgerTime quarter scale arcade, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool, so I bagged it. Before we crack the box open here, I always like to take a few moments to talk about the history of a particular game that we're checking out. While I talk about the history, I just want to cover off what we're watching in the background here. First, there are a few commercials that I found for the Intellivision release, as well as a video on the original cabinet and strategy by John's Arcade Game Reviews and Tech, which was released about 10 years ago. Links to those videos can be found in the description below. Originally called Hamburger in Japan, it was released on August 25, 1982 on Data East's Deco cassette system. Deco was the first standardized arcade system which allowed arcade owners to change the system's games. The arcade owner would buy a base cabinet and the games for it would be stored on audio cassettes. To load the game, the owner would insert the cassette and start the machine. After about 2 to 3 minutes, the game would be loaded into the cabinet's RAM. Once loaded, you could play the game until the system was powered off, which cleared the RAM. When the game was released outside of Japan, the name was changed to BurgerTime. It was released in the US in November of 1982. While Data East USA did make their own cabinets, they also licensed BurgerTime to Bally Midway. You can distinguish the difference between the two by checking the marquee and the title screen. Mattel Electronics obtained the rights to BurgerTime from Data East, so the Intellivision was the first console to get BurgerTime in 1983. It was followed by an Atari version a short time later. Coleco didn't get their version until May of 1984. With the history out of the way, let's turn our attention to the quarter arcade here and crack it open and check out what's inside. The quarter scale arcade comes in a protective outer box to keep our packaging safe and sound and looking pretty. With some creative editing, here's a shot of all four sides of the packaging. Overall, I'm impressed with the look of the packaging. This is my first quarter scale arcade, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. Zooming in and checking out the back of the box, we can see all the features of the quarter scale arcade, some of which include a 5-inch TFT 4:3 ratio full color screen, high quality 3M decal artwork, a 3-watt built-in speaker with volume control, a built-in rechargeable battery. It also includes a USB charging cable, which I feel a lot of companies are starting to leave out. Now that we've gotten a look at the packaging, let's take a look at what's inside the box. The top of the box is taped on all four sides. The razor that I'm using makes quick work of it. Popping open the top of the box, we can see there's a nice protective layer of foam which also houses the USB cable. The quarter scale cabinet is encapsulated in a plastic bag to keep it from getting scratched or damaged. With some more creative editing here, we can see all four sides of the cabinet in one shot. Again, I am thoroughly impressed with how this looks. Numbskull did an amazing job recreating this cabinet. Before I talk about what we're seeing here in the close-ups, I'd like to apologize for the following shaky shots. My gimbal wasn't cooperating, so I had to shoot all these close-ups by hand. Getting up close and personal with the cabinet, we could really see how Numbskull pays attention to detail here. They didn't just add white buttons, they actually added the P and the pepper flakes to those push buttons. The directional fingers around the joystick are here too. Another thing worth noting is there's no blur to the artwork, which is incredible considering how small and intricate everything is. As we move to the top here, we can get a look at the screws and the molding that go around the marquee. Spinning around to the back here, we've got the power rocker switch, the USB charging port, and the volume knob. Seeing these screws on the back of the cabinet, and me being the type of person I am, I'm fighting the urge to crack it open. I really want to see what's inside, but I don't want to void the warranty. Moving over to the side here, as we pan up, we can see the little flakes inside the pepper shaker. I don't think Peter Pepper has ever looked any better than he does here. Now we'll just zoom back a bit so we can get a full picture of the side of the cabinet here. Now it's time to dive into the bag that came with the cabinet. There's really not much here. We have a QR code that gets us to our warranty information. We have a QR code that gets us to the Facebook community page. We also have the instruction manual, which comes in multiple languages. Looking at the English instructions here, I see we can get to the dip switches by holding the player 1 and 2 buttons down while turning on the machine. We'll take a look at what's available in the dip switch menu a little later on. Now it's time to peel off the protective sticker and fire this little guy up so we can play it. When taking off the protective sticker, don't do it like I did here. There's actually a tab on the left-hand side of the protective sticker which I didn't see. I guess it's time to get my eyes checked. Again. Here's a quick shot of that little tab that I completely missed. With the protective screen gone, I guess it's time to fire this little guy up and check it out. I like how the coin door lights up here. It's just another nice little touch to replicate that full arcade experience. Just like how the real machine would, I noticed that it took a few moments for the machine to get going. So in the interest of time, I've sped up some of the startup processes here so we can get to the good stuff. Once we get past the Numbskull logo, we go straight to the high scores, and that tone lets us know that the system's ready to go. We have our scores and bonuses followed by the characters, then the demo play. Now that we've seen the boot process, albeit some of it sped up, let's get into some gameplay. As you're going to see, I'm not very good. I'm going to push the coin return button to simulate dropping in a coin, then hit player 1 to get going. Oops, missed that one. I don't know if you noticed it, but as I'm trying to move left to right, I couldn't quite do it. It's like when you play a 4-way game with an 8-way joystick, it's like it gets stuck. This happened to me a few times while I was playing. Now we're going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit so you can get a better look at the screen without my thick-ass fingers in the way. So as I said, I'm not very good, but it's still fun to play. It would be nice if it didn't have this binding issue with the joystick here and there. I don't know if it's just me or if any of you have experienced the same issue. If you have, please let me know in the comments. This is probably one of the only times that you would actually see me put my proper initials in a game. I'm usually that dumbass that puts ass in for his name. I know it's juvenile, but
hey, it's me.
Now that we've seen some gameplay, let's take a look at the dip switches. To access the dip switches, we just hold down player 1 and 2 and power on the machine. Again, we're going to speed up the process here so we can get to the good stuff. So as you can see here, there's plenty of adjustments. You can increase the value of the A and B coins, turn the service mode on and off, change the hatch pattern, change the cabinet position, whether or not you want it to be upright or cocktail, increase the lives, change the bonus, change the number of enemies. Lastly, you can enable the option to add a pepper at the end of each level, but there's a problem, which I'm sure most of you have already seen. But for thoroughness and completeness, let's enable it for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. So as you can see, the scores are stuck over top of the play screen, which sucks because it breaks our ability to cheat a little bit, if you would, by getting that extra pepper at the end of each round. Is it disappointing? Sure, but I'm sure Numbskull will issue a fix for it. With this being my first Numbskull purchase, I have to say overall, I am impressed with it. My overly tanned Superman enjoyed it as well. I must admit, I am disappointed that the bug made it into production. I'm sure Numbskull's not happy about it either. In my opinion, this is something that should have been picked up during testing. Do I regret picking it up? No, absolutely not. For me, this is one of those we want cool shit kind of things, and this totally fits in that category. We'll see how it stacks up to New Wave Toys' Crystal Castle Replicade when that's released. Well, that's it for this one, folks. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down, subscribe, and give me another shot. If there's anything you'd like to see me cover, please let me know. If there's anything you'd like me to change or think I could do better, again, please let me know. If you hung out to the end, thank you for sticking around. I just want to say I appreciate you, I appreciate your time, and as always, stay safe, be well, and take care.